got about 140,000 views of my ICAN Chinese carbon wheels video, and I appreciate you all watching it. And today I have a special treat. I have somebody that watched the video that bought a pair from another Chinese carbon wheel company. His name is Scott. He drove all the way up here to my home shop, and I'm going to run through the same checks on his wheels that I put the ICAN wheels through, and we'll see how it goes.
Hi everybody, these are the wheels I bought from Light Bicycle Company out of China, and they built these wheels to my specifications as far as, you know, DT Swiss hubs, how many spokes I want, and so on and so forth, what type of finish on the rims. I'm really impressed with this company. I would email them, of course, in the middle of the night because of the time difference, and they'd always get back to me within an hour. The wheels went out. I received them on Monday. The boxes were, the box was in perfect shape, and so far I've been really happy. I follow Jim on his YouTube, and I follow the blog on his the bicycle. What's the name of it?
Road Bike Rider.
Bike Rider. I get their email every week, and I always read his articles. And I saw the ICAN bike video, and I was really interested. And then I realized he's about a half an hour away from me, so I contacted him, and here we are.
All right, thank you, Scott. So without further ado, we'll take these wheels and we'll run them through the checks that we ran them through the first time. We're going to look at wheel trueness, wheel roundness, rim centering, spoke length, spoke tension, spoke twist, and whether or not the wheels were stress relieved. So we're going to start with the front wheel. Beautiful DT 240 hubs. This is a light wheel, Scott. Nice tubeless construction. No spoke holes at all. So we'll just put the wheel in the touring stand. These are disc wheels. The ICANs were rim brake wheels. So we'll adjust the, come over here, you can see we'll adjust the front wheels in the repair stand now. We're checking for side to side. So it's not perfect, but it's within a half a millimeter. Let's bring it in till it rubs. So this is a disc brake wheel, not a rim brake wheel. The significance of that is with rim brakes, you expect the wheel to be perfect. With disc brakes, perfection is not really necessary. It's nice, but that's pretty good. I'd call that a pass. So now that we've checked side to side, we'll check for roundness. This I would hope to see that it's near perfect. So we'll bring the little indicators in, and then we'll bring them up until they rub. This one on this side just made contact. You hear it rubbing? Okay, so we'll spin the wheel. You can hear from the sound that it's pretty darn good. So now we'll move it away. That's almost perfect. You look from the side right here. It's almost perfect. That's really good. Always hard to see black on black. That wheel is almost perfect side to side and up and down. So we'll look at the rear wheel. Just keep it running. back and check side to side again, just like we did before. Same tolerance as the rear wheel. It's probably a 1/2 millimeter. Really nice. Now we'll go roundness. So I'd say that wheel's not as good as the front wheel. I'd say that's a full millimeter out. You'd never feel that. But if I had built this wheel, I wouldn't have left it like that. I would have tried to get that out of there. It should be relatively easy just by tightening 4 spokes. Okay. So the next check I would do typically is I would check spoke length. And the way I check spoke length would be to stick something down inside the spoke nipple. But you can see I can't do that. Because the rim is a tubeless rim, a true tubeless rim. These are unusual. This is a high quality to see a rim like this that's sealed. You don't need a rim strip or rim tape with this rim. It's just, it was an option. Oh, it was an option. Yeah. So you
specified that.
Paid up. Yeah, it's a nice option. Should make the tires easier to put on and take off. And you should be able to run the wheel without sealant with this setup if you wanted to.
Oh, really?
Which is pretty cool. So that's a nice option, but it means I can't check the spokes to see if they're long enough except to look at the side of the spoke where it meets the nipple and see if I can see any threads. That's not a really good test, but it's one test. You look right here and you see if the threads are showing. Right here you look to see if the threads are showing. If any threads are showing, the spokes are definitely too short. But this wheel, the spokes look fine from what I can see here. And we'll look at the rear wheel, the front wheel for that too. Now we're back looking at the front wheel again. These look fine. I think spoke length from what I can tell is fine. It's a nice rim, I like that. I have a pair of Shimano Dura-Ace wheels, they're the same way. So now we'll check spoke tension, and Scott actually brought us a chart showing what their recommended tension is. So they're basically giving us what you expect to see. Road disc wheel set 120 to 130 kgf, 120, 130 kgf. So I have a spoke tensionometer and we'll turn it on and we'll check it out. So in order to use a spoke tensionometer, you actually use a conversion chart, and the conversion chart gives you how far the spoke deflects. It's a measurement actually, and I know from looking at the chart that if the spoke deflects in the high 20s to low 30s, it's going to be in this ballpark 120 to 130 kgf. So we're going to look at the spokes on the right hand side. And we got 28, 33. I'm zeroing. I want to, you can subtract, but it's better to zero the tool. 33 again. 33 again, so we're getting consistent low 30s. 33, maybe 34. 31. 36. 33. 35. I'm not surprised that some are slightly different. I wouldn't expect it to be perfect. 34. We're almost around. 31. 32. 33. 35. So this is the rear wheel, and we know this wheel could be, we could change the tension a little bit if we took that tiny little hop out of there, so that would change a little bit, but they're pretty close to the same tension all the way around, and they are in the ballpark of what they said, 120 to 130 kilograms. So let's try the front wheel. So the spoke tension is fine. You don't have to check all the spokes. If we already know the wheel's true, we already know the wheel's round. If you check one side and you have a certain tension, it's really likely that the other spokes are the right tension too. Excuse me. $34. 35, I subtracted one. 34. 32 or 3. I'll subtract one. 33. 30. The reason it's not zeroing is because they're Aero spokes and it has to find the flat spot, and it's hard for me to do that. $35. 31. We'll subtract 32. 31. And 3130. So front wheel tiny bit tighter than the rear wheel, but very similar, but they're both nice tight wheels. They got the spoke tension really good. So now we'll check one of the interesting things. We'll check for spoke twist, and they're nice bladed spokes or Aero spokes. They're
Sapiens.
Oh, Sapim, yeah. Sapim direct pull, nice spokes. So pick the right size. This is the right one. And then the only way to do this is to basically check every single spoke. So we'll start here and we'll go around, and but you're hoping is that this is 90 degrees to the rim, so that one looks good. This one is pretty close to perfect. I have a whole video on how to fix these if they're not right. That one's good. It's not very hard to fix them yourself. That one's good. Good. Tiny bit off, but close enough, really. I mean, that's really close. That one is really close. That one is perfect. Perfect. This is a park tool. It's nice. It has 4 sizes. It's not very expensive. Yeah, I can put a link to that. It's good. That one's really close. Perfect. Perfect. They did a good job. This is a little better than the ICANs were, for sure. Maybe they saw my video. Close. Obviously, you can be really fussy about this. Close. But if the spokes are way off, that one's a little off. That one's perfect. If the spokes are way off, they actually create more air turbulence instead of reducing it. That's perfect. And they did a pretty good job. This one's a tiny bit off, but nothing to lose sleep over. Oh, we're almost done. That one also a tiny bit. Pretty close. Overall, pretty good. Okay, let's look at the rear wheel real quick. Okay, here we go. Very close. Very close. Almost perfect. Perfect. A little off, but close. Nothing crazy off. We haven't found a really bad one that I'd lose sleep over yet. Good. Little tiny bit off. Almost, not quite, but close. Perfect. That's really close. That one's about perfect. Perfect. Pretty close. That one's pretty close. Perfect. A little off, but close. That one's a little off. You can see that one. So that one, yeah, I would fix that one, but still not crazy. It's not like really into the wind. Little off, that one. Not too bad. That's pretty perfect. That one's a tiny bit off. That one's a little bit. That one's a little tiny off too. That one's perfect. A little bit could be improved a slight bit. Last one, thanks for your patience. That one's about perfect, maybe a hair off, but close. So they did a pretty good job. I'd say a little better than the ICAN wheels. So then, you want to see if they took the stress out of the wheel. To do that, I need a piece of wood. I don't want to damage the wheel or hurt the wheel in any way, but I just want to put a little sideways force on the wheel. Nothing too hard. I'm not, it might look like I'm putting a lot of pressure on, but I'm not. I'm just gently putting a little pressure on the wheel. I'm going to start at the valve stem, go around on one side, then I'll flip the wheel over, and then we'll put it in the stand and we'll see if we affected it at all. So we're going to be gentle. And I never put this on a scale. I should put it on a scale, but I bet I'm pressing down with 10 pounds maybe pressure. I'll flip it over. I'm watching the valve stem, so I know that I started in one point. This is touching the wood, and I'm pushing here. This is off the wood, so I can actually flex the rim a little bit. Called stress relieving. So we'll do that wheel, and we'll do the other wheel while we're here. And when I'm building wheels, I would do this a couple times during the wheel build. And our hope is that light bicycle wheels did something like this. Most major bicycle manufacturers use a pneumatic press to do this. They don't do it by hand. Okay, so now we'll put the wheel back in. We hope that the wheel is just as true as when we looked at them before. We wouldn't expect it to change the roundness when you do that, unless the spokes were really... So this is the rear wheel. They were both about the same side to side. And I think we're right back where we were before, about 1/2 millimeter. So I don't think it affected it at all. The spokes feel really good and tight, so I wasn't expecting to find any issues. Let's put the front wheel in. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it didn't change at all. That's great. I'd say these wheels passed those tests with flying colors. They were stress relieved, the tension is right, the wheels are true, they're round, not perfect, but pretty good. You definitely ride them and enjoy them and have no problems with them. So the one last thing I'd like to do is I'd like to try a tire on these wheels, see how a tire goes on and off. Let's see if we can pop on a Schwalbe.
Oh, okay. You know, I asked them, I think I saw it in your video, about lining up the logo with the valve stem.
Oh yeah,
and they
that's
nailed
a good
it.
question.
They nailed it.
So you had to, did you ask them?
Yeah.
They did a nice job. Look, DT Swiss is right there. It's really hard to pick up usually with the camera, but you can show it this way. The valve stem is right here and the label's right there. So we'll see if we can put the tire on. Okay, here we go. Start at the valve stem. Just see if we can... hello. It couldn't be any easier than that.
Is that a tubeless?
Oh, this is not a tubeless tire. Look how easy. Gets a little tight at the top, but goes right on. No tube. So, but that usually makes it much easier to get the tire on. These, because they don't have any rim strip, it should make it pretty easy to get the tire off. I wouldn't expect the Conti tubeless to go on this easy, but if you take the Conti tubeless and put it out in the sun,
right?
So now we're going to try to take it off, and you know, it doesn't get any easier than that. So I'm thinking your tires are going to go on pretty nice. Might have a little struggle, but overall, Scott, very impressed. Thanks for bringing the wheels up.
Oh, thank you.
I think that you got a good pair of wheels here and you're going to enjoy them a lot. So that's another video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.